In a sea of handheld options on the market, one can find it really difficult and confusing to decide which one to pick up and which may be the right fit for them. So today I've gone ahead and done most of the work for you to bring you my top 5 best handhelds on the market right now in 2024 under $100. Now, before we get started, I did want to include some honorable mentions. These are handhelds I found to just barely make the cut, but I still wanted to mention them because they do have some unique strengths that are not in the top 5, but they aren't, in my opinion, better than the top 5. Our first honorable mention is none other than the Budget King, the R36S, and I'd really be doing you guys a disservice if I didn't at least mention this device. This is this year's best, most affordable handheld, coming in at just under $40. You can even find it sometimes lower on AliExpress for around $30, and for $30 you get a RK3326 with a very nice display, some solid controls, and basically perfect emulation up to PS1. This thing really is the best bang for your buck handheld you can get right now. R36S. Now up next, our second honorable mention is none other than the Powkiddy RGB 10 Max III. Now this device comes in at just under $90, and it is what I consider to be your best widescreen option. For those of you that appreciate a larger display, something like this, a 5-inch IPS 16:9 screen, you're gonna really enjoy the RGB 10 Max III. And this is perfect for those of you that appreciate maybe some widescreen content, or emulating some of those systems with weirder aspect ratios, stuff like PSP or Game Boy Advance, or even a little bit of side-by-side Nintendo DS, that sort of thing. Look no further than the RGB 10 Max III. Now up next for our honorable mentions is none other than the tiny but mighty RG28XX. This is this year's best mini handheld, and it comes in at just under $50. If you guys are in the market for a very compact and pocket-friendly device, look no further than the RG28XX. Anbernic really knocked it out of the park with this device. It's very small, it's light, it basically fits anywhere. It has no joystick, so it cannot get caught in your pocket or anything like that. And it comes in some fun colors like this orange. Just a really great device, a device that will never be a burden taking it with you. Now this is in the same XX family, so it's gonna have all the power as its bigger brothers, except in a smaller, more compact form factor. So yeah, RG28XX, excellent mini option. Our last and final honorable mention is none other than the RGB30. Now this device is very special because it holds a unique aspect ratio, a square aspect ratio, a 1:1 display, 720 by 720, and it does have a higher pixel density than some of the other handhelds on the market. Now this is perfect for somebody that enjoys systems that benefit from this unique aspect ratio, stuff like Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Nintendo DS, Vertical Arcade, and SNES. And on top of this, you can stretch your games to an 8:7 aspect ratio, which is not too much of a stretch. It just makes those games take up a larger part of the screen. The RGB30 is also a more comfy device because it has like a wider form factor over here, so it's better for somebody with larger hands, somebody like myself. And on top of that, it does have dual front firing speakers, which is very nice. So yeah, RGB30, excellent choice for somebody that appreciates a square aspect ratio. And now onto our top 5. We have the Miu Mini Plus. We have almost the entire 35XX family. We have the Plus, we have the H, and we have the SP. And then finally we have the Retroid Pocket 2S. So now we're going to go over them one by one in no particular order and talk about the pros and cons of each one. So maybe that helps you decide which is right for you. Now up first on our top 5 is none other than the crowd favorite, the Miu Mini Plus. This was last year's most popular retro handheld, and for very good reason. Now you guys can pick this one up anywhere between $50 and $60 when it's not on sale, but I constantly see the Miu Mini Plus on sale. I actually picked up this transparent black model for $34, believe it or not, on AliExpress. So very good deals can be had on the Miu Mini Plus. And the Miu Mini Plus has some of the best controls you will find on any retro handheld. This D-pad especially is so good, so precise, so nice to use. It's like wide and just feels so good to play on. Same thing with the action buttons, they're nice and glossy and they look good as well. But the biggest thing I want to highlight about the Miu Mini Plus is the software. The Miu Mini Plus has some of the best custom firmware you will find on any one of these handhelds in Onion OS. Onion OS adds so many amazing quality of life features, stuff like a game switcher, an activity tracker, quick shutdown, really great performance optimization, a video player, a music player, just so many great features. On top of this, Onion OS is just extremely polished. It looks really nice. It has a package manager. When you first boot it up, it'll ask you, what do you want to play? Which systems do you want to install? And everything like that. Onion OS is really what makes the MIUI Mini Plus so great. And you get all this in a very nice, compact, pocket-friendly design. You see no joysticks here, so nothing to get in the way, to get snagged. This fits so nicely in your pocket. So yeah, MIUI Mini Plus, it's got a cult following. It's got a great community behind it. If you're somebody that likes to mod your consoles, the MIUI Mini Plus has the most mod support of any handheld. You can very easily find custom buttons, D-pads, all sorts of nice accessories for your MIUI Mini Plus. So yeah, the MIUI Mini Plus is an easy yet very solid recommendation. A recommendation made by most people. Most people would say the best retro handheld for beginners is the MIUI Mini Plus, because of Onion OS. So if that's you, if you're a beginner, you're looking for your very first retro handheld, you cannot go wrong with the MIUI Mini Plus. Okay, so up next for our top 5, we have basically the entire RG35XX family. We have the RG35XX Plus, we have the H, and we have the all-new clamshell SP, my personal favorite. And I wanted to include all of these together into one segment because they are essentially the same device internally, but externally they are in a different form factor. The Plus is a vertical Game Boy style slab device. We have the H as a horizontal, and then we have the SP, which is a clamshell, which closes up. And these devices are all excellent choices. So I would give the analogy that these consoles are somewhat like the Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, where Ruby and Sapphire are like basically different versions of each other, and Emerald is kind of like the enhanced version. And that's kind of the analogy I like to point out here, where the H is the most comfortable of the three devices because it is horizontal, and also adds some nice joysticks over here, which are great for the systems these things can play, like N64, PSP, and etc. It also has stereo sound, so both of these devices have one mono speaker. The SP has it right here, and the Plus has it right here in the corner, where the H has two, a left and a right, so it is also a bonus. And like I mentioned, it is horizontal, so it is the most comfiest of the three. But I don't just want to highlight the H because it isn't right for everybody. I personally love the SP, and I love the because I have a kind of a bias towards a vertical style device, right? I like having the screen on top. I like having the screen closer to your face with the controls over on the bottom. That's kind of my style, and it's more kind of like nostalgic to have the controls on the bottom like a vertical device. So I personally lean towards the Plus and the SP. However, that doesn't mean it's right for everybody, right? Some people don't care for that. So really quick, I do want to highlight a couple things about the Plus and the SP that may be worth your consideration. For example, the Plus has the best D-pad of the three devices. For whatever reason, Anbernic's given the Plus the absolute best D-pad, and essentially controls. It also has really great shoulder buttons. Like, it has these angled shoulder buttons, and they're a little bit more comfortable to press than something like the H. The H is like kind of cramped when you're trying to press these shoulder buttons. They're not amazing to use. But on the Plus, that is a different story. We have these sloped, nice kind of angular shoulder buttons, and they are the best shoulder buttons of the bunch, and the best D-pad as well. The D-pad on the H is a bit sharp, so it's not as nice as the Plus's D-pad, but it still gets the job done. And then aside from that, it also has this menu button dead center where it's supposed to be, and it feels great just to use. Like, for example, like opening RetroArch, or adding a fast forward, or whatever you like to do with your hotkeys. It's very easy to do with the Plus because it's in the right place. Where on the H, that menu button is up here. It's called the F button, and it's just a little bit more awkward to do things. Like, this is how you fast forward. You kind of have to do this. It takes a little bit of getting used to on the H. Where on the Plus, it's a lot better. Same story on the SP. The SP has the menu button dead center, right where it's supposed to be. What can I say about the SP? The SP is a clamshell, which is basically the best design of the three in my opinion. because all your important stuff is on the inside. Your screen and your controls, which could be potentially damaged, are housed on the inside. So when you close it up, it is protected. There's no need for a case. And then it also folds up into this nice form factor, a little cube that you can just toss in your bag or toss in your pocket. And yeah, it also has like a nice sleep function. When you close the lid, it automatically goes to sleep. So in my opinion, the SP is the best design of the three. But the SP also has clicky buttons, which some people are not fans of. So if you're not a fan of tactile buttons, you may want to stay away from the SP. But overall, I think the SP is just amazing device. So the way I would go about it, right, if I was somebody deciding between the three, consider the H first, because the H has those joysticks that are kind of necessary for the things this thing can play. If you're a person that you want to play Dreamcast and N64 and PSP and those systems that make use of the joystick, you may want to get the H solely for the joysticks, and also for DS emulation, because you can use the joystick to move around the stylus and stuff like that. So it might make sense for you to get the H. Now, if you're like myself and maybe the H is not your cup of tea because you find horizontal devices to be a bit boring, then you may want to go with the Plus or the SP. Both of these are excellent choices. There's no wrong choice, like I said before. Between the SP and the Plus has better controls for sure. Like this D-pad is excellent, action buttons excellent, and they're more comfy and better to use than the SP. However, the SP is just amazing design, like just simply amazing. This is a trip into your childhood. If you ever had an SP like myself, this is my real first console was a SP. So this holds like so much nostalgia for me. And I wouldn't want to go with one of these just because this exists for me, right? But if you're a person, you don't care for the SP, you never cared for clamshells, you think the hinge is gonna break, then go with the Plus or the H. So yeah, all of these are gonna perform better than the Miyoo Mini Plus. The H700 inside of these is much better as far as like what it can play. And then on top of that, they all have the HDMI out. So you can hook these up to the TV, and they also have Bluetooth. You can use a Bluetooth controller, something like this 8BitDo SN30 Pro Bluetooth controller. Works really great when you want to consoleize one of these little retro devices. So to me, these are all on the same level. It's just like, what's important to you? Do you prefer like functionality and the horizontal form factor of the H, or do you like the Game Boy style kind of Plus, really great controls, or do you like just a nostalgia bomb that is the SP? You know, kind of pick your poison, decide what's right for you. So yeah, to sum this up, you cannot go wrong with any of these devices. Now, last but certainly not least is none other than the Retroid Pocket 2S. And this is probably the best device on the entire list. This is an Android device, so you do have a touchscreen, which just makes the device feel so like uniform and nice. Because it's Android, you also get access to a bunch of Android games, as you can see here on my little library of games. You have Dead Cells, Streets of Rage 4, even touchscreen games like Balloons Tower Defense 6, SpongeBob, all these like awesome Android ports that play really well on a device like this. And then of course, this device has really great controls. It has the same sticks as the Odin 2, believe it or not. So these are like not like Nintendo Joy-Con sticks. They're a little bit higher up, so they have a better like range of motion, and they feel really nice and premium. Like even here, when you're like kind of turning the joystick, kind of glides against the plastic. It definitely is the most premium device on the list, and it also has a premium price tag. So for example, this 4GB model comes in at just under $100 at $99.90, but there's also a 3GB model, and that comes in at $89.90. However, I don't recommend the 3GB model because Android uses a lot of RAM. So I highly recommend you guys get the 4GB model. And yeah, this thing's really powerful. It has a T610. It's actually capable of doing some GameCube emulation, along with some of the other stuff that you know, the other systems can play, like Dreamcast or PSP, DS, Nintendo 64, Saturn, all that stuff. The Retroid Pocket 2S is able to do at an even better performance rate. And not just the processor, but it's also because it's an Android device, so you have access to stuff like Vulkan drivers, which really help in the performance of emulation. And of course, the software here is pretty much amazing because it's Android, right? So you have really nice things like a browser like this Chrome right here. You can search for stuff. You can use it to basically get your ROMs and stuff like that. So only bad thing is this thing does not come preloaded with games, which isn't the worst thing in the world. For the people that are new to emulation, this may not be the best device just because you have to source your own games and stuff like that in your BIOS files. But for the people that are familiar with emulation, the Retroid Pocket 2S is basically where it's at. On top of this, setting up an Android device does take significantly longer than it does for like something like a Linux device, something like, you know, this Plus right here. This is basically you flash the firmware and you're pretty much good to go. Or like this, you have to download a bunch of emulators, you have to configure those emulators, download all your games and your BIOS files, and then set everything up, tell the emulator where to go, you know, where your games are, and disable touch controls, and it's a bunch of stuff to get it going. But once you get it going, man, it's amazing. You can even have a custom launcher like what I have here. This is Nova launcher. You can have it look like however you want. And yeah, this is basically the best of the best. Under $100, definitely get the Retroid Pocket 2S. This is easily the best of the best. However, with shipping, it's technically not $100 because it goes up. Like for example, I paid I think like $12 shipping, so total was like maybe 116 after tax or something like that for my Retroid Pocket 2S. But yeah, I have yet to drop my review of this thing. There's a lot of things to love here. Look, stacked shoulder buttons, front firing speakers, really great joysticks, an excellent D-pad, great action buttons, these colorful ones. I love the colorways they have as well. There's a lot of choices for the 2S. And everything is pretty much where you expect it to be. It has a pretty good battery life as well. So much to love here. So yeah, review coming soon for this device. One thing I did want to know is just like having a touchscreen, even on this little 3.5-inch display, is just so nice. Like just doing things like browsing or DS emulation, or just like being able to touch the screen is a game changer. It really is. It just makes the device feel like so uniform and like one complete package, and that's what I really love most about the Retroid Pocket 2S. Of my top 5, my top recommendation is the Retroid Pocket 2S. However, if you don't have the budget for it, definitely consider some of the other top 5. Alright guys, well there you have it, my top 5 handhelds right now in 2024 under $100. And no matter which one of these you guys end up picking, they are all solid options, and none of these will disappoint you. Let me know what you guys think. Did I miss anything? Was there a handheld that I didn't showcase in the top 5 that you felt deserved to be in the top 5? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe so you guys don't miss out on any future content. That's all for me. I'm going to get back to doing some retro gaming, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.